Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 193 of the world's longest Denver Nuggets spin-off podcast. Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets' Serbian Corner. My name is Miroslav, and before we begin, please take a moment to like the video on YouTube. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the DNVR Sports YouTube channel and the DNVR Nuggets podcast channel. The audio version is ideal for your commute or to make your office or home office time more bearable. If you want to support the show more directly, you can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/MiroslavCuk, just like my Seco tier supporters Daniel Lynch and Brian Johnson. Patreon supporters can enjoy the ad-free audio version of this show. They can also submit ideas for guests and topics and appear on the show during the summer, which will be in about 7 weeks from now. In the week behind us, the finals have started. After doing the Lord's work and eliminating the OKC Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs hosted the New York Knicks in the first 2 games of the last playoff series of the season. In Game 1, we got a beautiful reminder of how important matchups are in basketball. Wemby faced for the first time in this playoff run a shooting center in Karl Anthony Towns. That forced him to leave the paint and guard Cat at the three-point line, but it also showed us that Karl is more agile and is able to dribble past Wemby. On the other side of the court, Wemby wasn't able to move Cat, not even an inch, so he ended up taking a lot of tough turnaround shots and deep threes, and that resulted in horrible efficiency. At the same time, Mitch Johnson closed the game without his best player in this, and not only this game, Dylan Harper, and that wasn't a great idea. The Knicks won their 12th straight playoff game, and the Spurs lost the home court advantage. 2 nights later, in Game 2, San Antonio played well to start the game and had a 9-point lead at the first break. Wemby was pacified by the Knicks, so he scored just 7 points in the first half, and the guests took a 4-point lead at the big break. Victor started scoring in the third, but the Knicks expanded their lead at the last break. And just as it appeared the visitors were running away with a victory, being up 14 with 6 minutes to go, the Western Conference champions stormed back and had the possession with the game tied with 10 seconds to go. Alas, when Banyama had a live ball turnover, Brunson made 1 free throw and Wemby missed a late game winner. The team from New York only needs 2 more wins, and the series now moves to Madison Square Garden. I've been very negative about the end of this Nuggets season. It was a season of great hopes that started with a very exciting offseason, but it ended in an even worse fashion than the previous 2 post-championship seasons. I've also been very intense when it comes to talking about the Nuggets' upcoming moves this summer. It is fair to say I've been launching the preemptive strikes against KSC, trying to prevent them from being epically cheap during the most critical summer of the Jokic era. But I will try to set all that intensity aside and talk only about the best case scenarios for the Nuggets this upcoming season today. A better name for this show would be The Brightest Timeline, but since I don't want to risk Adamares suing my ass, I'll stick to best case scenarios. I have a couple of awesome guests to talk about this topic today. First, the most famous Magic fan among all Nuggets fans and the most famous Nuggets fan among all the Magic fans. She's the host of the What's in a Game podcast, Grace Jean. Welcome back to the show, Grace.
Thanks for having me, Miroslav. Am I the most famous Magic fan for real?
I mean, how big is the overlap there? I find that combination to be quite obscure, so I'm guessing
I know at least one.
Here.
I know at least one, and they're a better memer than I am. So I actually think like Yoitz Gwyn on Twitter is actually a bit
Oh.
bigger, but maybe like their Magic fandom is not as well known as mine is.
Ah.
But I know that they're Magic
Yeah,
fans.
you see, I'm rarely wrong on my intros, but I'm always ready to take any criticism in that way. How are you doing, Grace?
I'm good. I'm having a nice active weekend. Really was really funny. So I was watching game 2 yesterday and my power went out with 15 seconds left on the game.
Oh,
So we had to well I watched the insane endings thing that the NBA put out after the game. But other than that, I had to follow the last like, minute of real time on the play-by-play on the app, which was pretty annoying. And then I thought I was missing out on something like big, but then when I actually saw the ending, I was like, "Oh no, they went out with a whimper." Like,
I haven't been watching those two games live. I'm saving my health during the post season of the Nuggets season, but at the same time, I really enjoyed both rewatches afterwards. And there's another guy here waiting to come on the show today, who I'm sure enjoyed the games. Here, I just missed our monthly breakfast in Belgrade last week with him, so I had to call him ASAP. He is the artist behind so much iconic sports related stuff. It honestly makes me sick. He is my brother and compatriot. It's Eric D-Line Wedum. And I hope I can bring him to the.
Yeah. Here I am. What's up, Brate? What's up, Grace?
nothing much.
Eric, Saturday at the office?
Oh, well, Saturday at the office is because I wouldn't miss Serbian Corner for any reason. It's Dev's birthday party happening right now too, just FYI. And I put it all on hold, and I didn't have my microphone at home, and I didn't have any of my stuff, so I came into the office to do this episode.
There's always a birthday party at the DNVR. Every time I come to Denver, it's Kale's birthday party, and now I have you on the show, and it's send my regards to Dev.
I will. Fun fact: each one of us here was born.
Well. Yeah. Okay, so Eric, I'm guessing you enjoyed the two finals games so far, or am I just assuming too much?
Oh my God, this is playing out exactly how I hoped it would. It is so beautiful to this point. It is so beautiful. I mean, I can't get over my skis too much on this, but it's just I don't know, man. Like the things that I always complain about Wemby are on full display. And I think that you summarized it very nicely at the beginning in that matchups are really everything when it comes to basketball, and especially in the playoffs. And the best in the world can look to be the worst in one series. The worst in the world can actually rise up and look incredible. It's just, you're left with all these lasting impressions of the thing that you saw from various players in the last series they played, which are oftentimes just a reflection of that matchup, like not their value in an absolute sense. So yeah, dude, it's awesome. Wemby is looking so soft. Like they're just pushing him all over the place. He's only taking deep threes. He will not venture into the paint. They just have to run him. He gets completely tired. It's just like, I don't know. I've just been fighting this notion that he's invincible and it's a guarantee he's going to take the league over. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I see some pretty glaring, weaknesses that would prevent him from being like the all-time guy that everybody is just falling all over themselves to declare him. Like the thing about Wemby that like makes me so curious is that, and incredulous, is that he's never won at any level. Like he's always been this much bigger than everybody, and he's never been able to win a title. Like I don't get it. How is that possible?
Do we know that?
Yes.
Eli?
Yes.
Like, did you follow Wemby's like high school career?
You can look it up.
He did take like a pretty not that talented, athletic but not talented Team France to Olympic silver.
Silver
as a 19-year-old.
To be fair,
That's the point.
Yeah,
of it.
against Team USA. Nobody beat Team USA.
I'm just saying,
to be
I've
fair,
never seen a player
game.
I've never seen a player with a greater physical advantage not be able to get over the hump. And until he does it, that's the case. And I need to see it because I'm seeing in big moments him making critical, terrible errors over and over, which means
that's not deniable.
Which makes me question, is he built for it? Does he have it in him? I don't know.
Yeah, and also it was kind of the way the tournament was set up. They just made they picked up teams who will play against each other in semifinals. And of course, they didn't pick France to play the US in the semifinals because they're the host and they had a frozen envelope.
And they did
there.
almost get eliminated in group play by Team Japan. I didn't forget about that either.
It's true, yeah. And to be fair, France had the silver medal in the Olympics before Wemby too, so it's not like they've made a huge jump.
And
there.
It's not. If you watch those games, it wasn't on Wemby. He did not guide them to the silver. He was.
I think the defense was pretty crucial because that was Team France's entire identity.
But if you watched, it was like. This is I guess my main issue is that it's difficult for me to just see the heaping praise that Wemby gets, even if he doesn't fully earn it, when Jokic has not been given an inch of credit his entire career. And so for me, it's like that I feel like is the foundation of what makes me crazy about him. But I also just think that people are just so eager to give him a title he has not earned.
To be fair, Wemby is way more agile than guys like Manute Ball, Sean Bradley, guys who were as tall as he is. It's just that he's not as agile as Karl Anthony Towns, which is an interesting wrinkle here. But we'll come back to that before we continue the Wemby slander. Grace, I have to ask you about these finals because I've fallen in love with basketball back again watching these games. I think they're really fun, and I have a favorite. I'm rooting for the Knicks hard, which makes the game more fun for me. But other than that, can you stop analyzing and comparing these two teams with the Nuggets and just enjoy the games, or are you still a prisoner of the moment and just thinking about, this is where the Nuggets are and where these teams are at the same time?
I think I definitely have long stretches of being able to just kind of get lost in the game, especially down when these games got tight. That's when it fully kind of let go there. But I think throughout watching the games, I'm trying to watch what are the dynamics here that's leading to this team going on a run versus that team. But it's less about and this is what where Denver fell short. I'm a month removed from that. I have my fully formed kind of opinions by this point about where Denver fell short, what they should do kind of going forward. There isn't much else that I've seen that's sort of added to that. It's more okay, this just reinforces what I already thought, if anything. But I'm going to be honest, watching these games, I'm not thinking about Denver too much.
So, one thing I'm finding solace in is the fact that neither of these teams, including the OKC, seems perfect. Honestly, New York might be the most perfect team we've seen in these playoffs, and I kind of thought that was a mirage because it all happened in the Eastern Conference. But at the same time, when you look at the crazy point differential and net rating and stuff like that, they're really running other teams out of the gym. They've lost 2 games so far in these playoffs, and both of those games they've lost by 1 point, both of them against Orlando. Which is pretty crazy
against Atlanta.
Sorry, Atlanta. That's what. And so when you look at that, New York seems like the best team of the bunch, but at the same time, before the playoffs started, we didn't think of, oh my God, look at the New York, look at these amazing, unbeatable guys there. Eric, does this give you more confidence in the Nuggets going forward, thinking, yeah, we sucked real bad, but at the same time, these other teams are not that amazing to play against.
Of course it does. I mean, why is New York in the finals? Why are the Spurs in the finals? Those are the two teams that have skated through injury-free. Oklahoma City lost 2 big players. Denver Nuggets lost 2 big players. The Minnesota Timberwolves, like this, there's
Lost
one
like
team,
half their roster.
there's one team, there's always one team that gets the injury luck every year, and it raises them to a level that it makes you think about them in an overinflated way, or at least like it like allows you to downgrade teams that don't necessarily deserve it. And for me, I mean, I will contend forever. I mean, you look at you telling me Jokic couldn't do what Karl Anthony Towns is doing. I mean, at least on an offensive end, I mean, let's not forget, like, Nikola Jokic averages 40 points against Wemby. It's like he doesn't give him fits. He's able to go into his chest. He's able to move him wherever he wants. He averages 40 points against Wemby. And what the Nuggets, I felt like, in the end, what their real Achilles heel was toughness. They just weren't tough enough, and they just got knocked around. And I feel like toughness is one of the easier things to add to a basketball team. There's a lot of really tough guys out there that don't necessarily have to be offensively gifted to be effective. We need defense. Obviously, we need it in the point of attack. I mean, Jamal Murray was exposed so badly on his one-on-one defense, and he also got run ragged by Jaden McDaniels, and like all the things you discount Jamal Murray. You're like, God, this guy gets tired like all the time. A lot of that stuff I feel like you can just like alleviate with 1 or 2 like deft moves, getting a guy that can help a lot with point of attack defense, like a Lou Dort, like a Dylan, what the hell's his name on
Brooks.
Dylan Brooks, like one of these like tough guy point guards that can not only alleviate a lot of the ball handling when need be, but can also help on that side and like just get the Nuggets not beat up. Like when you lose Aaron Gordon, you start to get beat up. That's just kind of how it goes. When the Oklahoma City Thunder lose J-Dub, suddenly they magically don't have any outside shooting. So it's just only on SGA to do all of the scoring. And so the Knicks have been healthy. They've been super healthy, and they are relentless. Like they are you can't kill these guys. They go down by 10 to start every single game. Every game they're just down, and then they just like whittle you back, and they start to do to Victor Wembanyama what everybody was so mad about happening to Jamal Murray, was just wear him out, like make him completely ineffective at the end of the game because you've made him sap all of his energy by running him up and down the court, pushing on him with all of your weight to keep him out of the lane so he can never get in close to the basket where it's an automatic goal if he gets there. So he's doing nothing but floating around the edge, shooting threes, terrible, ill-advised shots, and then at the end of the game, like Mitch Johnson, which I can't believe, this guy's on fraud watch for me too. Like your plan with all of these guards is that all of the shooting, and they've shown you in big moments that all of these guys are nails. Like Dylan Harper hit amazing shots. Champagny hit amazing shots. Stephon Castle, amazing. All of these big shots, all of them. And then your plan at the end of every one of these games is to ISO Wemby, have him try and break guys down on the dribble. Then he just dribbles off his foot, and then that's the end of the game. Like that's your plan every time. So I don't know. Yes, I am very heartened because last time you saw the Denver Nuggets, it took a last second desperation shot from SGA with a fully healthy Thunder squad to beat them, and they beat the Spurs the last time. And these are the Titans of the Western Conference, and the Nuggets match up very well against both of them, especially when they're healthy.
Okay, let's take a short break, and I want to come back to OKC Thunder because we need to say something, I guess, nice about the team that's no longer there. Don't go anywhere. Okay, Grace, when it comes to OKC, one thing that warms my heart is they're finally gonna become expensive next season. Not as expensive they're gonna be in 2 seasons when when SGA's new contract is going to kick in. But still, they're going to have to make some tough choices this summer if they don't want to just go straight into the second apron.
Like deep into the second apron.
Deep
Too. I
into the
think they're
second apron.
projected. They would be projected to be like 30 million over if they didn't
I feel like that has to
make
be the
any
third
changes.
Exactly. There's a podcast called The Third Apron.
Yeah,
it's a
like
really
28
good one.
million. They're projected at 250 million in salary with the 15 roster spots. So they're gonna probably make some changes.
And even better news for me is the fact that two of their max guys, Chet Holmgren and J-Dub, well, first of all, first guy got embarrassed by Wemby in the conference finals, and the second one is just not healthy for a long time. It's almost Aaron Gordon level of not being healthy there. So how do you feel about OKC coming into the next season? Obviously, we have no idea what that team is going to look like. They might make some real moves there. But if they would bring most of their guys back, do you think people would look at them at the same way they look at them at the beginning of this season when everybody thought it's like OKC and everybody else running for the championship?
I think going into next season, how I look at them is pretty similar to how I look at them this year. It's like they're going to be right there. They're a very talented team, no matter what kind of moves they make on the back end. And they actually have a lot of flexibility to kind of keep the roster almost the same, potentially, because one of the things they've got coming up is a team option for Isaiah Hartenstein. And they could just decline that and try to get him on just kind of renegotiate on a lower number, but like over more years. And they could save like half of what their second apron burden could be potentially from that alone, realistically speaking, depending on what he would take. And they're just a really talented team. They've got an MVP caliber player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's won 2 MVPs. Is that right?
Yeah. He's not only MVP caliber. He's literally.
He's actually won. No. Yeah. That was me
MVP.
throwing shade, but then I remembered he's actually got 2 now. So
Undisputed best player in the world, by the way.
Oh my God.
They've still got the playoff demon Alex Caruso on there for a while, although he's getting up there in age. But like they're going to be at least as good as anyone, is the way that I would look at them going into next season. If you want to discount that, part of the thing going into next year is like that's 2 straight years of playing like pretty deep into the playoffs. That they didn't just make the Western Conference Finals; they got to a Game 7, right? And you can start to see the wear and tear start to accumulate on all of their players, but especially their top guys. I think Shai is another player that you could say this is what you do in the playoffs. You try to wear out the best players and try to decrease their efficiency in any way you can, because otherwise, like, you're screwed. You need to just kind of like chip away at them on the margins. And I think that Shai is definitely one of the guys that for whom that was the kind of visibly the case. And it manifested a little bit differently with J-Dub because of his kind of myriad injuries and kind of inability to fully recover. And we know what that's like you said, with dealing with Aaron Gordon for the last couple of seasons now. So the way that I look at OKC is like they're going to be right there. They're still I think they're still the team to beat. Like you said earlier, the Spurs beat them. They were missing 2 pretty crucial players. The one thing I will disagree with you, D-Line, about with that series was J-Dub was more important for the playmaking, and AJ Mitchell were more important for the playmaking, because you have a team in the Thunder where your best player is not your best playmaker. Like, I don't think that Shai is the best, playmaker passer on that team. And when you lose the 2 best playmakers on that team, the passing gets a lot worse. The shot quality gets a lot worse. And all those role players just look a little bit worse, except for Case and Wallace, who just rose to the occasion and, probably made himself a case to be even more expensive in a couple years when that contract comes up. So yeah, that's how I feel about OKC, is that there's not that much decline. I kind of look at them the way that I looked at like Boston going into 2025. It's like, yeah, a little bit older, Boston was older, but they were a little bit older than the year they won the title. But they're still going to be really good. Like, they're going to be a tough out, and you have to take them into consideration.
So great. You made a great point about superstars getting less efficient in these playoffs. Teams are just focusing on them more. I don't think that teams have became miraculously better on defense overnight. I think it's a lot of it's officiating. They're just letting so much physicality over there, and nobody has been efficient. Nobody has been unstoppable in these playoffs at all. Starting with Joker, and then you go to SGA, Wemby. Nobody has been super efficient. Even Jalen Brunson, he has like a horrible 3 quarters, and then he just hits a couple of amazing shots, and he's a hero again.
Sound like somebody we know.
But at the same time, more than one team found a way to make SGA inefficient and plainly bad in these playoffs.
He's not had like a really efficient playoff run yet.
Yeah. I think he hasn't been good in any of the 4 series so far, but maybe I'm pushing it a bit. D-Line, what do you think about SGA's performance so far, and will it make a dent on his best in the world case going forward?
Oh, of course it will. Of course it will. I feel like that very fluid, very unofficial title is just, it's in flux more than it's been in a while. I think that there are arguments against anybody that you would put up. To me, it's still Jokic. I can't.
Which means we're still not out of it.
We're not. To me, like, this is the thing. It's like all of the things you looked at with Jokic when he got eliminated. It's, you look at all of these other guys, you're like, yeah, but look at that. Like, I mean, come on. Like, there's no such thing as in this current version of the NBA. There's no matchup that's going to be dominated by one player every time. There's just too many good players. But yeah, I mean, like, it just shows you that SGA can't do it by himself. You just can't. Like, but they're definitely going to be. If I was Sam Presti, I would. There's no way that I wouldn't come out of this offseason without Giannis. There's just no the amount of assets that we have. When a player like that actually becomes available is an extremely rare moment in the NBA. They have they have nothing but assets, an embarrassment of assets, too many of them that they know what to do with. In fact, like you said, they can't even retain any of their people without going into a comically large bill that you can't just look past. But I mean, barring that, I would chat. I would who do you want? Besides SGA, who do you want? Let's get those two together. But beyond that, what do they just want 65 games or something? They're fine. OKC is fine. If they're healthy, it's a different story, but they weren't. And it's the same thing that the Nuggets have faced these last 2 years.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're gonna reassess J-Dub and his health, because this season was just a nightmare. He tried to return 5 different times.
Exactly.
He would just never be able to stay on the court. There might be something they need to really think about. And I'm not talking only about
sound
the
like somebody else I know.
Yeah, exactly. It's
every team is the same team.
Yeah, the medical stuff just needs to figure things out league-wide, because things are getting out of hand, and possibly there's some rule changes that are gonna need to happen in order for us to get. There was this. I think Tom Haberstroh did he just checked how many games this season had all of the superstars available. It was 40% of the games, which is really, really bad.
That's higher than I would have thought, to be honest.
For the final product. Yeah, it's really, I mean, yeah. I would imagine if it even being lower than that. But Grace, let me ask you this. Do you see a path for San Antonio to come back into this finals series against New York?
Absolutely. I mean, you just need to win 2 games on the road. New York just did it. The path is to play better on it. They've been right. They've been in both of these games at home, right? Play better and hope that New York keeps shooting like garbage is the other thing. I actually don't know what New York shot last night, but I know in game 1 it was pretty bad compared to how they'd been the rest of the playoffs, and that just might be the rest of the finals. Like, okay, it's like it's a different ball game now, or it could be like they're ready to swing and then they pull out like what they did against Cleveland in game 3 last series. So that would be the hope, is that you can keep getting a little bit of luck on your side. I think San Antonio has actually had some luck on their side in these first 2 games, and they've been right there. In terms of adjustments, a lot of people have talked about the lineup things, like you need to just play all the guards together, like maybe bench like Champagny for Harper. I do think that part of what has made San Antonio so frankly viable is that those Luke Cornett minutes could actually be worse if Dylan Harper weren't on the floor to kind of bolster them. And they win some of those stretches as well. It's not like they're always bad. It's just kind of on balance. They haven't, been great. And I think that the risk in changing that particular aspect of the rotations is that you end up with non-Wemby lineups that just that lose the game for you. But I do think that like San Antonio, this is what I was saying about them really the whole playoffs, but it was most relevant during the Thunder series, is I didn't think that they could win that series or necessarily the title with just their defense. Their half-court offense has been pretty bad. It was pretty bad in the Thunder series too, and I don't think it really improved even by game 7. And that's why OKC was able to come back in it near the end of that before San Antonio was able to kind of hold on and win there. But through 2 games, and they did lose these 2 games, to be clear, and it's in part because of the half-court offensive execution is just not there because they're still finding their identity on that end of the floor. But they have been right in these games so far. They've gotten some of, again, like the shooting variance luck. And so it's like, well, you need just a couple more things to swing your way, even with your offensive deficiencies in the half court, because your transition offense is so good and your transition defense is so good and your half court defense is so good. It's just like chip away on the margins of the half court offense so that you can, come away with a game against New York. I do think that if they end up, pulling out game 3, even if it's close against New York, the pressure shifts to New York. So you don't want to give up the home court advantage that you just got, the 2-0 lead that you just got in this series. There hadn't been a 3-1 comeback in the finals until it happened. And there hasn't been a team that's been able to come back in the finals after going down 0-2 at home. But then it doesn't happen until it happens. And both these games have been close. So I absolutely see a path for San Antonio. It's just a matter of, again, just a little bit of luck.
So Eric, the ending of last night's game was a bit comical when Wemby was
I called it
dribbling the
delightful,
ball.
but yes.
Stephon Castle was looking at him for like 5 seconds waiting to get the ball. And then he said, yeah, I guess I'm not getting the ball. So he turned around and Wemby just hit him in the head with the ball. This is something that happens to super young teams. And Wemby even said that they only react to their bad games and not to their good games, which is a pretty mature thing to say. So do you expect them to learn from that I'm gonna repeat, comical situation and just be better next time around?
I don't know, that's 2 games in a row with a comical ending.
Yeah.
To me, it just speaks to maturity on a whole. It's not like, how are they going to practice not throwing the ball and panicking in big? You can't recreate that moment. And that's the thing. That's the real separator between good players and great legendary players, is that when things get really tough, you make the right decision when everybody else is panicking. Most of that comes from experience and age. I have a hard time imagining they're going to be able to develop it over the next 2 games, but stranger things have happened, I suppose. I don't really see a path for San Antonio outside of there being some sort of like personnel issues. Somebody gets twists an ankle or something. Like Karl Anthony Towns has completely eliminated Victor Wembanyama from the equation as far as a dominant weapon. he has been and the problem with their setup is that when they have 4 guys around him, which are big for their position at some of the positions, but not big overall, and Wemby gets pulled out of the paint, then you have like a little guy trying to guard a power forward coming in and charging, and they're unable
and get the rebound. I saw somebody sort of framing this is like a Victor's defensive deficiency issue. Like, he has trouble like guarding out on the perimeter and then running back to get the defensive rebound. It's like, yes, everybody would have that problem. The Spurs are in desperate need of a power forward. I've been saying that since round 2.
Yeah, no, they have actually a lineup deficiency. They need they could try like putting Luke Cornetta and stuff out, like putting those 2 guys.
Yeah, together, they could run more double big. I actually think that would be something worth just trying, because I don't know that it's manifested in the lineup data, but I know definitely during the Thunder series, some of the most like head scratchingly bad lineups, at least early in the series, were the ones where it was like Wemby and a stagger of guys, so they get even smaller around him, and it's like, oh, this is even worse, right? Somehow not having Julian Champagny on the floor is like your second best rebounder is completely devastating, and that's not really a position that you want to be in the NBA Finals.
No, and so I feel like with their current strategy, they've been solved, they've been bested, and so this is where I'm saying, like, all right, Mitch Johnson, you're up, brother. Like, you got to figure out how to go about finding other ways to get frankly, your very talented team involved in other ways. Like, you can't just say like, well, we'll have Wemby stand there like a literal oak tree, and his great defense is just intimidating guys by the way that he looks. Or like if you saw last night, people were going at him and they were scoring. Like there's a we're scared of it versus the reality of it being impenetrable. That starts to break down, especially when you get him on the move and he's having to move vertically and laterally. It's just like you can the lore breaks down a bit and the reality comes into play. And this is something that Nikola Jokic has figured out a lot with Wemby. Again, like, and this is just a truth for all of basketball time, is that you go at shot blockers. You go at the chest of a shot blocker when they jump up in the air and you hit them in the chest, especially if they're in the restricted area. Like, you can knock them back. It's not a foul. And then you neutralize them. If their hands come down, it's a foul. So they're like, Mitch Johnson has to just figure out how to run plays for Wemby. Like, he doesn't get any plays run for him. It's insane. Like, there need to be curl plays where he comes around the corner, he catches the ball at the elbow, not outside, just running pick and roll. There's just like a lot of stuff where I'm like, bro, you gotta be a little bit more creative with what you got here, because you have a lot to work with, and you're just falling back on the idea of like, we've got this monster that's unstoppable, but he is not in those situations anyway.
I do think to your point about Mitch Johnson here, it kind of goes along with what I was saying about the Spurs not having yet found their offensive identity. I think I was talking about this on the podcast the other day, how when you compare the Spurs to the Knicks, especially in like a late game situation, but this can apply throughout like other key stretches of the game. The Spurs, I think they actually, like, creativity is not what is lacking there. It's really they're missing a knowledge of like, what is the thing that we absolutely do best, or the thing that we're most comfortable with. Like, and you just pick one, right? And spam that. And they don't really have that. They don't have that kind of set yet. So they try a lot of different things. And sometimes you can have something that's good, but it doesn't work and they go away from it. I think that happens a lot, actually. And so they end up defaulting to, I mean, on like a last possession or last 2 possessions of the game, they'll go to like a Wemby ISO, but I actually don't think they go to it that much.
But to your point, your largest point earlier in the day, they've been in both of these games and they fumbled it when it mattered most. And it's like, they're already doing what they need to do to stay in the game. We're talking about what it's going to take to get them to the next level,
get over the hump.
Don't have that established.
And
Yes,
the
San Antonio feels like a team that's way more individually talented than the Knicks, but it's still not the team, not a team, not a real team. I don't see a real cohesion between all of those great guards playing together with Wemby, and definitely it is something they're going to get better at in the next couple of seasons. Okay, we need to take a break. We're a bit late on that, and after that we're going to run long today. I'm sorry. I mean, it's 3 weeks before the off season, which means it's the highest
What else are we
possible
doing? Who
season.
cares?
It's the highest possible season in the NBA, so we're probably going to run a bit long. So don't go anywhere. Guys, we need to go back to the Nuggets. It's really fun to talk about Wemby and his struggles, but this show is
yeah, I need a break. I
about the
needed a break
Nuggets.
from trash talking my own team and
I
trash
know,
talk some
I
other
know.
teams.
Yeah,
But
I'll be
this
your
is-
break. I've got good thoughts about the Denver Nuggets.
This is why we are gonna figure out what is the best possible scenario for the Nuggets this season, and we're gonna start with Eric, who has the infinite amount of optimism and looking through seasons and ebbs and flows and stuff like that. So it's the best case scenario for the Denver Nuggets next season. Short, snappy title for the show. And last summer, I was among many Nuggets fans who were very excited about how July went. Cam Johnson landed in MPJ's spot, giving the Nuggets much needed flexibility they never used. Fan favorite Bruce Brown returned. The best available minimum contract guy in Tim Hardaway Jr. joined, and they even upgraded the European backup center roster position from Dario Saric to Jonas Valanciunas. Ben Tenzer and John Wallace seemed to have a perfect summer, but it was spoiled at the first hurdle when they picked Christian Brown over Peyton Watson and gave him a contract that appeared on Bill Simmons' worst contracts in the league episode just a few months later. Still, when it comes to just the 2025-26 season, you could make a case that the moves made were almost the best case scenario. And season needs more than just winning the summer to become successful, which is something we know because of numerous winning Julys for the Clippers that never turned into a finals berth. The Nuggets needed a lot more injury luck, but cannot cite injuries as the main reason for the first round exit, since their opponent was more injured than they were. Nobody outside of Jamal Murray had a better than expected regular season, and in the playoffs, nobody showed up big. Boy, I promise some optimism, but here I go again. Snap out of it. Okay.
I don't agree with a lot of this framing, by the way.
I want you guys to give me your versions of best case scenario for the upcoming season. Which moves or lack thereof would you need to see? What kind of internal development would it require? And what changes to the way they as individuals and as a collective would the players and coaching staff need to make to achieve set best case scenario? So Eric,
yes,
where do you go with this?
Okay. People do not want to hear it ever. And in fact, you even just couch it by saying you cannot cite it. But the fact that the Nuggets lost very important players is everything. They are in a class of teams now that is there's so little space between all of these top teams. You see it now. You see that San Antonio is not perfect. You see that OKC is not perfect. The New York Knicks, you didn't even see coming. Their own writers were turning on them in the middle of the season. Health is everything. Health is absolutely everything. And when the Nuggets lost Aaron Gordon, they lost Peyton Watson, they lost their defensive edge, they lost their toughness. And then they were left with guys that can kind of be bullied. Aaron Gordon's not one of those. Peyton Watson, I don't know if he is or not, but also Christian Brown, Brendan will tell you, he saw him in the locker room. He would be in near tears after a lot of these games because his foot hurt so badly. He lost all of his explosion. His contract looks horrible because he played terrible, because he really, really tore a lot up in his foot, and he was never quite right after the fact. I don't think that we're going to get another horrific season out of Christian Brown like we just got. I just have more faith in medical science now for sports. I think that you can heal things like that you weren't able to previously. Aaron Gordon, the same thing. I feel like if he really gets serious about his rehab, and it's not just like, oh, I just need to rest it, but it's more like, I need to go to Germany. I need, I need platelet therapy. I need to get some stem cells in there. I need to, like this type of stuff that LeBron James would do to come back from injury. I just believe that there's so much we know about the human body now that you can't just be like, well, that guy's cooked forever. Like there are things we can do. And when you look at the fact that it's now been 2 seasons that have essentially been robbed from us because of Aaron Gordon going out in moments where we needed him, which frankly is every moment. The big 2 has always been the big 3. Without Aaron Gordon, Jamal and Jokic are rendered useless in a lot of ways because they're too predictable. You're not able to have Aaron Gordon just hang out in the dunker spot, and then you get that finale oop where people are indexing so heavy on he and Jamal that he can just toss the ball up. Aaron Gordon slams it down. You lose all of your spacing. The Denver Nuggets are not in the position it feels like they are coming out of this season, because it's just like the last thought you're left with is like how you end up saying like, well, that's the team. This is the guy. Jokic is not as good. Jamal Murray is a bitch. I can't do this. This guy sucks. He's too old. And it's like, all right, take a breath. Like, do I think the Nuggets need to get tougher? Absolutely. Like that's the thing, is the razor's edge of our toughness was exposed. That if we lose our first line of toughness, we have nothing to offer. And then it doesn't even matter who the player is on the Minnesota Timberwolves. As long as they're fast and athletic, they can just beat the Nuggets because they can just run straight to the rim. It's not like they lost Ant, and for some reason the Nuggets couldn't get over the hump. It's because they just had like a bunch of other athletes that could just run by our super soft guys that were remaining. Like Jokic was just a sitting duck at the rim. It was bad. It was very bad. But I don't think that is a full representation of the Denver Nuggets that we have. It is definitely a representation of them at that moment. But I don't I don't take I take a baby with the bathwater situation. Like, look at this. It's going to be incredibly difficult to improve the team meaningfully with the asset that we have. It's going to take a deft move here or a deft move there. But I just know from what I've seen of the NBA and the way things work is that typically speaking, you get an opportunity to build a core one time. And a core is not just a collection of skills that are on a piece of paper, but it's like the way that the team works together, the way that they know where the other will be. There's there's an unspoken thing that gets developed when you have a true core, and we have a proven core, not just a theoretical one. You can see a lot of like big threes to come together, and it's like, oh, well, that's obviously a big 3, and it's like, no, they're not. Like Giannis and Dame, even before he got hurt, it's like they didn't ever figure it out together. You can't just I have a hard time just being like, we got to start over. I get nervous saying like, if we get rid of Aaron Gordon, like Jokic and Murray didn't become Jokic and Murray until we got Aaron Gordon. That's when this era started. And so I don't feel like it's over yet. I understand why people do. I certainly do. Like, there's a lot of like hope and pray in that just for injury luck. But that's kind of the deal, man. When you get to this level, that's kind of the deal. Like, your team just has to be right when it matters. Oklahoma City just learned it. Minnesota Timberwolves just learned it. This is just how it goes. So I do want to see the Nuggets try to improve their front court. Like, I want to get their backcourt. Like, I want to get I just want to get tougher. But I think that's very easy to accomplish. And Cam Johnson did appear. He showed up in the playoffs. He was one of the last that last game. He absolutely showed up. So I feel like you can, if you feel like you don't need to keep him because we're going to over-index on P-Watt and have P-Watt take his spot, that's a nice trade piece that you can use to get a nice player to fit. You can get like a Dylan Brooks, for example. Like, I would make that move in a heartbeat. Cam Johnson for Dylan Brooks. Great. Now you have a tough guy, an obnoxious guy, a guy that like gets under the skin of the other team, that can help Jamal, but also doesn't have to be the star. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I really think that we're in a much better position. And I'll just tell you, like, all of it comes down to the fact that I have ultimate faith in Nikola Jokic. Like, that's just all there is to it. Like, I will never, ever turn my back on Nikola Jokic-led team until he shows me that he's done. Until that time, it's like, this guy is the best player I've ever seen. He makes everyone better. And if he gets a little help, like there's no stopping him.
So if I can summarize your hopes for next season in two things, they would be way better bill of health next season.
Of course.
One. And then Kronk is going like 20 million over the second apron to keep everybody there, or possibly trade Cam Johnson for another contract, which would take them or keep them in the second apron. And you know what? I think that is one of the best possible scenarios for the Nuggets when it comes to 26-27 season only.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a short break now, and we're gonna see what Grace has in store for the best possible scenario for next season. So don't go anywhere. Okay, we are back. Eric gave us a run it back scenario with some tweaks when it comes to toughness, overall toughness of the team, citing the proven core that's been amazing in 2023, not so much in the last three playoff series, but health and stuff like that. Where would you go when it comes to the best possible scenario for next season for the Nuggets, Grace?
So I'm in a very similar boat. I'm team like run it back almost entirely, in large part because I think any moves that they make would either necessitate at least one gap year, and I don't like doing that with where Jokic is, age-wise, and it's like you said, it especially in in this unprecedented age of parity, the name of the game is to do your best, stay healthy, and like hope you get some luck on your side, but keep yourself in contention. Don't take yourself out of contention, right? And that's what I think doing otherwise would accomplish. There are a couple of key changes I would like to see, all to the end of making Denver a more dynamic team. The first thing that I would want to see, kind of regardless of any other moves, is Christian moving to the bench. And the reason for that isn't even necessarily about his play this past season. Is even in the season prior, he was kind of like a, for lack of a better term, a one-trick pony on the offensive end, and defensively, like really wasn't necessarily what Denver needs in that starting lineup. So whether what you do is use that opportunity to elevate Peyton to the starting lineup, or make other changes involving breaking up Cam's contract into other players, I think that Christian would be best served, frankly, in a bench role for now. He can still play like substantial minutes, but I just think that he needs to get back to being the thing that made them want to make him a starter. Not the stuff that he was doing once he became a starter, right? Which is like being a spark plug, putting it like being that like big play hustle guy, basically being what Josh Hart was when he was coming off the bench, and what Josh Hart continued to be once he became a full-time starter for the New York Knicks, right? Like that's always been my favorite comp for Christian, and he kind of got away from that the year that they made him a starter. So that's on the on the bench side. On the starter side, absolutely think that they should pay Peyton. I think that they should be projecting that they will pay Peyton whatever to deter other teams from making offers, but they keep, putting out this wishy-washy stuff. And it's like, this is not how you play this game, guys. But they should pay Peyton and elevate him to the starting lineup.
I think they're afraid if they promise to pay whatever and then they don't, it's a horrible look.
They lied to us last year and it did not matter. This is what you do. Yeah. You lie. Okay. You lie to achieve the outcomes, the best version of the outcomes that you want, because the best version of the outcome that they want here is that they're able to keep Peyton at a reasonable price. But if they're not projecting that they're willing to pay whatever, then that emboldens other teams, right? You need to use the tools that are available to you. In this case, the highly, highly unethical institution that is restricted free agency. And be unequivocal about it. Basically, do what they did in kind of a, I mean, this would be about like paying a player, but last summer, they came out pretty soon after the rumors about like what is Valanciunas going to do, and they said like, no, we're going to enforce his contract, right? Like, so just say like, yeah, like we have his bird rights, we have his we're gonna have his restricted free agency rights, we're gonna match whatever. Do what the Lakers did with Austin Reeves a few years ago to get him on an absolute scam deal for the last 3 years, right? So I absolutely think that they should pay Peyton and elevate him to the starting role, not even necessarily because he will have a better overall impact if you looked at like the advanced metrics than Christian would in that role, but because it will add to the dynamism of that starting lineup and create some opportunities for having a bit of a defensive buffer around Jamal and a size buffer around like we don't know how available like AG will be. So I think it's important for Peyton to just get used to playing with those groups of players a lot more frequently than he has, even over the last couple seasons when he's had to fill in for when AG was out. On the Cam Johnson side, I think that they should keep him. I think that he'll be even better with the team next year because he'll have understood this. You saw him come online a lot more toward the end of the season, and obviously he had his moments.
After the injury.
Playoffs. And yeah, after the injury was another part. Like nobody was healthy this season. Like nobody.
That's the problem, dude. That's my main issue. Like
Jamal Murray was your healthiest starter this year. If I told you that last season, you would have been like, "Oh, like did we even make
this season?" This season sucked. This season sucked so bad. It's like ruined everyone's view of this team because they were hurt. Everybody was hurt all year. It sucked, and it ended with them being hurt.
So while I absolutely want. I think and think the best iteration of this team is with AG as healthy as possible. I also agree with D-Line that they need to bolster the front court somehow. And that's going to be through, I don't know, free agency or trades. I think if you're not going to play Duran, trade him now because I think that he's still probably an interesting player for another team to be like, yeah, sure. We'll throw in this like random veteran if you give us this guy and you won't have to attach draft capital for it. Like we can't have any more like dead forwards on the roster that just like never play and get sent back to the G League, even though everybody else at their position is injured. But back to the Cam front, if you are going to trade Cam, I think that there are two potential paths that I would be okay with. One of which has more to do with like staying as competitive as possible now. Trying to aim for a player like maybe it's unattainable example of this year is like Cam for Ron Holland, saves you some money. And it also creates a little bit of, insurance on Denver's side to give them a little bit of leverage in a potential negotiation with Peyton Watson to be like, look, like we're not going to get less athletic if we potentially let you go. Because we're going to have like Ron Holland here and that'd be great. And I would think about attaching the 2026 first to that deal, but obviously I'd prefer it if Detroit would be willing to just swap and be like, we need Cam's skill set. Let's make this deal. The other way that you could go is try to trade Cam for better draft capital. Not like when I say better, I mean like something that's like fringe lottery, not a pick that's going to be at the end of like, obviously you don't want to be trading with like OKC, Boston. We don't want those picks. My caveat to that is that the new anti-tanking lottery rules are probably going to make teams guard their future picks even more jealously than they already do, because every team basically in the league could see themselves having a bad year where they end up in a play-in and have a chance to be in the lottery. Right. And so I think that's actually less realistic than potentially getting Ron Holland. But we'll see how the new rules actually change teams' behavior. That's just what I'm predicting. But that's what I want for Denver is a healthy year and a team that is more dynamic and more willing to have a higher mistake tolerance than they have, because I think that for the last couple of years that really has limited their dynamism on the offensive end as well as the defensive end. They ended up again 30th in opponent turnovers forced, and the whole like, well, they play positional defense because if you gamble and you don't get it, then like layups. And it's like, well, we were allowing layups anyway. You need to find a way to win the possession game. You need to get more aggressive on the perimeter, and that needs to be a team effort. And I think Jokic needs to be involved in that too. But if you allow for, if you increase your mistake tolerance a little bit, it also leaves room for players like a Peyton Watson, who I am highly critical of because I do think that he still has a lot to improve in his offensive game, as well, and frankly, just the consistency of his defense. But if you increase that mistake tolerance, it increases the ability for other players to take on some of that usage and some of that offensive burden, so that Jokic can, give more on the defensive end. And that was something that we saw in the playoffs, even in his really good offensive games. Like, he just couldn't put the two ends of the floor together in the same game. And I do think that has to be, I think having more dynamism on the floor with him, that like active guys on both ends of the floor, can actually help to balance that out for him as well.
So both of you made great points today, which is not a surprise. What is a surprise is that I'm going to say I agree with both of you when it comes to the best case scenario. And I'm going to explain why.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so jealous when I look at New York, when they force the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands and they go to Josh Hart. He knows what to do with the ball. If it's OG Anunoby, he knows what to do with the ball. Sorry. And the Nuggets need to have guys that know what to do with the ball in their hands. So when the other team is want to play, 3-on-4, they are going to get punished for that if they're overloading on our stars.
Can I just interject briefly?
Yep.
They need to have guys that know what to do with the ball in their hands. They also need to have guys that aren't scared to have the ball in their hands and do something with it. And I think that that's a product of not just the guys, but also the system.
Exactly.
To me,
exactly.
it's more like Spencer Jones is in there versus Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Like, you have guys that haven't been there before, that have not been tested, that were performed admirably, but they didn't take us to that place that you needed from your top end talent,
Yeah. So basically, I want guys to be empowered to do more and to be able to do more. And that means way less dribbling from Jamal Murray. That's like point one for the training camp. Jamal just needs to, get off ball a lot and just trust his guys to do the right thing, because he's such an amazing shooter. He is such
incredible, literally the best in the NBA.
When it comes to being in the position of certain advantage, if he doesn't have to create advantage every time, he is not the quickest guy. He is a finesse guy. He is losing too much energy trying to get free and shoot a really tough contested turnout jumper. So here's my plan. And it basically is just an amalgam of what you guys said today. So first stop, keep P. Watt, start him at a 2. We agree there. Keep everybody else except for Jonas, replace him with a minimum contract guy, or as our friend Ray said in the chat here, just draft a center, please. So that's
centers possible. Are never good when they're young, but
no. Also, like I don't
unless
think
they're like a 26-year-old center,
right? You're not gonna get a good center or pass pick wherever they drafted Derek Lively.
I really want to see the improvement that Deron Holmes has been able to make over the summer. This is his first summer to be able to not be just rehabbing, but getting stronger. And his strength was his weakness, ironically, last year. And that's why he never saw the floor. He played well in the G League, and he can shoot. He's lights out, stretch 4, maybe 5. If he can get strong enough, I don't know. We'll see.
Or he doesn't, just trade him. Please trade him. Stop wasting roster spots. Then pay a huge luxury tax tab. Don't be a Scrooge, and we all agree on this. As I said, Jamal comes into the camp in even better shape than last October, this time focused on playing off ball a lot, and I mean a lot. Then Joker comes into camp in mid-season shape, spends the whole month of September working with Novak Djokovic on what it takes to achieve absolute peak mental hunger. I think he can teach him that for sure, because sometimes I feel like he's just there to punch the card 9 to 5 and go home and have some fun with his family. Then Josh Kroenke needs to appoint an associate head coach who will be there just to scream at the players when they don't try on defense, because that's not something David Allman is going to ever do. Then the Nuggets get a cheap defensive-minded floor general. Think Davion Mitchell. Like I don't know if they can get him.
I don't think Miami is going to just.
No, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. It's a type. It's not.
You could trade Cam for him somehow.
Yeah, I could see that. I wouldn't consider that a big downgrade anyway. And then, as we all mentioned, Christian Brown he needs to agree to go to the bench with the promise he will close every game he's awesome in. And I think he's the type of player, and especially with full 5 guaranteed years of NBA career in front of him. Why would he mind that so much? Like it's
and
something
no more of these
with.
player revolts we heard about happening behind the scenes when Malone was starting Russ over Christian and all of this stuff. Like, you guys need to get over yourselves, like, because we're champions, we know how to do this, we don't like things being shaken up. The team needs to be more dynamic, and I think that involves everybody having a higher tolerance for discomfort than they have, not just on the court, but off court as well. I think they've all gotten too comfortable. And I think that's part of what Josh was talking about when he kind of hammered home this complacency point at their exit interviews.
Yeah. And then again, if any of our plans would materialize, that still doesn't, guarantee a championship or even
Not
a deep
at all.
playoff run.
No
We
such thing.
don't know.
What it guarantees is lots of content for next season.
It just like keeps it interesting, man. This story is this story is not over. This story of Nikola Jokic is not over.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm just not sure we can realistically expect this big of a luxury tax tab to be paid this season.
Do you know how much it would cost?
To be fair, you might be able to move off of somebody at the trade deadline if the season goes completely off the rails.
But for them to go into the second apron with the team they have would cost in the neighborhood of like $200 million.
Yes.
Yes. It's not like you have to be like, okay, I like these guys, they're cool. Do I want to keep Cam Johnson to the tune of $220 million is what it would cost? And it's like, okay, we're not talking we're talking $20 million. It's like, all right, get over it. $200 million.
I was listening to Vic Lombardi a couple of days ago on the Altitude Radio, and he had a really good rant about Nuggets not being cheap in the last 5 years.
They're not. They're absolutely
which is true. They've made a list of the most expensive teams of the last 3 or 5 years, and the Nuggets were like 5th, 6th on the list. You know why? Because the other teams are also contenders. Like, it's not. Let's not pretend they're paying out of goodwill. They were trying to contend. This is why their team was expensive. And we expect the team to remain expensive if they think they will contend. If they don't, I'm going to be so mean. I'm going to be so incredible mean. I've been preemptively mean to the start of this post-season, but I'm going to get even worse if they actually duck the tax and just I mean, can you imagine, the run it back scenario without Cam and P Watt? What?
Well, that's not running it back. That's that's the point. It's like you can't just get worse to be cheap. If you can figure a way to be clever, and like, I'm fine with that. But if it's just a straight slash, we can't. I mean, but to Vic's point, like, the Kroenkes have not been cheap with the Nuggets. Everyone thinks that they're super cheap because they don't have a practice facility, which is like, and there are other and they won't pay for management and they won't pay for coaching. But that doesn't.
I had this question. I had this question I actually want to pose to the two of you. The Kroenkes reportedly, lowballed Calvin on his extension offer that I'm even shocked, was extended in the first, was like offered in the first place. But and he was, appalled by that, offended, and they never came to an agreement. And eventually, Calvin gets fired. Right. How much less do you think the combined salary of Ben Tenzer and John Wallace is compared to what they offered Calvin Booth on that extension?
I don't know. I don't even know. Like
the fact that they hired two guys to kind of replace the function, I think tells me that they're making way less than probably other guys in comparable positions across the league.
Well, to be fair, Ben Tender was a data analyst, so I'm not sure
he was there.
He actually.
Well, that's the thing. That's why they always tell you if you want to make. That's why they always tell you if you want to make real money, you have to leave your company because they're not going to. They're not going to respect you.
You're not going to get a raise. Listen, I went to when we went to training camp in San Diego, and we just were hanging out and making content, and we got to go to a bar one night with the Nuggets, all of the front office, not the players, but all of the business side people that were there. And I didn't talk to Ben Tenzer, but I talked to John Wallace for like an hour and a half. Like we were just locked in. We were having like a great conversation. And I left that being like, oh, this guy gets it. Like he totally understands the players. He told me a lot of stuff. Like his relationship to Jamal Murray is a lot more complicated than I realized. When Jamal Murray was injured and had his ACL surgery, like John Wallace lived with him for like a year and was his gopher in a sense. Like he was going out and getting him groceries and making sure that his stuff was taken care of. And so he's not like close to Jamal Murray. He's like extremely close with Jamal Murray. And, I just was having like pretty frank conversations with him. I'm like, so what's the deal? Like, why does Jamal get so like moody? And like, why is he like so terse with the media sometimes? And, what is it about him that people feel as though he won't give full effort? Like, what's the deal? And he's just like, I don't know, man. It's just kind of his psyche.
I know you're gonna give us some insight.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
I don't know.
It's not like I say that to say, like, it's not instances of him being unhappy or something's not going right and he's revolting against it. Like, he's just kind of a moody guy.
He's just kind of a sad boy.
He's kind of a sad boy, but we've seen what he's able to accomplish. Like, we've seen his heights, and that's not true for 98% of what the NBA has. And Jamal Murray's been put in sort of a bad position. It's like what's happening to Wemby. Like, his absolute like counteraction player they've gone up against in Jaden McDaniels, who just erases Jamal Murray. And it just makes him look like he's useless. He had an incredible season last year. He was third team All-NBA. He was an all-star.
Should have been second.
He was an all-star, no question, no doubt. He was the literal best shooter in the NBA by the numbers. And it got to the point in that series where it was just like Jaden McDaniels is going to he's just going to be a cape on top of Jamal Murray. And he cannot shake free. He can't get open. All of his shots look bad. They're rushed. He just erased him. But players do that to other players. All that to say, like, I don't know, man. I just think that this team still has something. I really think that there's something really special in the combination of these players. I think that they have an unspoken bond, which is very difficult to create in this league. When you bring players in, it takes you, to your Cam example, it takes them a while to become integrated. And it's like, if you bring in a new major piece of this team, you have to expect that it probably will take a year for them to be able to function at the level that they're currently at, and then to go at a higher level. I don't know. It's like that's going to be a real risk. So fuck, man. I mean, like we're in a weird spot. We're in a weird spot because they underperformed so massively that it casts such a pall over that team, and it's such a dark shadow that it's not entirely warranted, but I understand it completely.
Okay, I think we're gonna get kicked out of the studio, so we need to finish this show. Grace, what is the plan for the next episode? Are you waiting for the finals to be done, or is it gonna be Thursday?
The final. I'm not waiting for the finals to be done, but they might be done by the next show.
It's very true.
So I hope they last maybe a little bit longer, so I have some more content. We're definitely going to we're going to start talking NBA draft and talk about some of the possibilities if Denver keeps 26, if they move up, that kind of thing. Because we have already done so many shows on trades they could do that trade that pick away, and they also have a second round pick that they got in the Hunter Tyson salary dump as well. So maybe that also factors into those discussions.
Eric, what are your plans for next week? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday shows on these?
Yeah, I mean, I'll
radio
probably
waves?
be the creative director of the network and work on the network the whole time. And yeah, this series is going to be over in 5. That's my official prediction. I think that I don't think it's likely that the Spurs role players like get better on the road, although they did in Oklahoma City in Game 7. They absolutely rose to the occasion. But you have to think. I have a hard time imagining them being able to do that this next game. I definitely see them going down 3-0, and then showing some heart, getting a game, but then it not being enough. That's my official prediction.
Okay, this was possibly the last episode of Serbian Corner, but more on that in the upcoming days. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. You're not getting rid of me that easy. And on that note, that is all I've prepared for you today, my dear listener. And please take the word prepared very loosely. Be well, be safe, be kind to everybody. Call your mom. And until next week, remember that my plan is to be Nuggets forever.